Are you freaking out as a mother about coronavirus? Are you super stressed that your kids are going to be home for maybe 3+ weeks? That was so not in your plan. Are you finding yourself spiraling because of negative thoughts and looking at the unknown? That's what we're going to talk about today. Oh my word. So the state of the world today seems to be changing by the hour. And one thing that I find very challenging is that it is completely out of our hands, right? I remember coronavirus at the beginning of it. I was like, oh, okay, no big deal. I'm just going to stay safe. Like I'm going to wash my hands. I'm pretty paranoid about germs since Colleen having RSV already. So no big deal. We didn't have any major travel planned in the imminent future. I am due to speak at an event in Canada in a few weeks' time, but like nothing imminent. So I didn't really have too much of a change in behavior except for washing my hands more. And I noticed at church we had eliminated the sign of peace and had gotten rid of holy water. Then when I remember the first event that got canceled, South by Southwest, that's when I was, for me, like, okay, like major events are starting to be canceled. And then when every single subsequent event, NBA, and then it was minor league baseball, Major League Baseball, and then it was, or minor league baseball, it doesn't matter. And then conferences and all these things. And then finally, when they announced that schools would be closed, that's when, for me, I found myself almost joining everyone else in the state of panic. And here is what I want to say to you today. We must remain peaceful, and we have to do it for our children. Okay, so why is it important that we remain peaceful? We have no idea what's going to happen with this. Like it really does seem to be changing by the hour. Literally every time I either check my social media feed or I refresh the browser on my news website that I'm staying attuned to, there is some other kind of announcement. Either another celebrity has got it or another, quarantine or what have you, right? And this can very quickly make us feel stressed. It can spike our cortisol. It can make us worry about the future. It can make us worry about what's to come. But here's the thing, we can't control it. And so in these things that we cannot control, it does not serve us to respond with constant fear. There is absolutely nothing we can do. Literally, it's changing by the hour. And we can't do anything to increase our control over the situation. We can't control how much knowledge we get. Like we just cannot. Like meaning there's no clear cut. This is a nebulous situation. What can we control? Our reactions to everything. So it is, of course, completely reasonable as a mother to be afraid. Either that you're afraid that your children might get it or you might get it. Of course, natural to be afraid that if one of you does get it, then you might give it to someone else. And of course, being afraid of what happens if this quarantine goes on indefinitely, right? All of these things are very normal. But guess what is so beautiful in all of this? We can control our reactions. So what I really want to talk about today is how. How do we control our reactions? So I'm going to pull resources from the different areas that I draw resource from, some mentors, my spirituality, and just lived experience dealing with things like mental illness in marriage and dealing with a family of now 8 children, dealing with being able to overcome adversity and limiting beliefs in myself, all these things. I'm going to draw some resources and give you some really practical tools and tips, especially as we embark upon possibly 3+ weeks of children all being home. I can't speak obviously for every market out there, but many, many, many states and provinces in Canada, and I'm sure obviously globally, have shut down schools. And I want to give you the tools as a mom to be able to handle these next few weeks with a whole bunch of little people at home with no breaks. Welcome to homeschooling, everyone. Basically, we're all homeschooling with success. So the number one, the place I want to begin is that your feelings are okay. To acknowledge your feelings and allow yourself a little bit of time to feel them. Hal Elrod, in his book, The Miracle Morning, talks about giving yourself I think it's I can't remember if it's 5 minute or 5 second, but essentially, I heard him speak in Austin, Texas at a marketing conference not that long ago. And this man has died twice, if I'm not mistaken. For sure, he died once, but I am almost positive he died a second time, literally, like actually. And the first time he had this car collision, the doctors could not understand his attitude to the point where they had to talk to his parents and literally tell his parents, like, we think he's in denial and you really need to talk to him. And he told his parents, he was like, no, like, I'm going to beat this and I'm going to be okay. And nobody believed him. And what he attributes that to was actually his sales training. He was a, Cutco knives. People come over to your house and do a knife demo. He was a top Cutco knife sales person. And what they had taught him in that training was to only spend 5 minutes or 5 seconds. I can't remember, I apologize, what the actual number was. Being sad if you maybe didn't get a sale or if a prospect call didn't go as planned. And I think that's so important that we do here. If you're feeling scared, talk to someone about it. If you're feeling anxious, journal about it. If you are feeling isolated and alone, go and find people, reach out to people who will help you. Pray, do the things that typically help you when you are feeling scared and stressed. Acknowledge it, but only for a limited amount of time. Then we need to move on. Okay, so first step is to acknowledge whatever negative feeling you have. Second step, what in this scenario, let's consider and think broadly, what in this scenario might be for you? Okay, so I've heard a lot of people say this before. My wonderful friend, January Donovan at the Women's School, she says this a lot in her trainings. What might be for you in this situation? So when I look back on past experience in my life where we have gone through significant adversity, let me give you a couple stories. I had cancer. So people often ask me about the scar on my neck, and I don't really talk about it here, to be honest, not for any reason. It's just, it happened a long time ago. But right when we first got married, I was diagnosed with thyroid cancer. Thyroid cancer, thankfully, is, as all the doctors told me, the best kind of cancer to get. It's a funny way to talk about cancer. But essentially, I was I was a competitive cheerleader, so I was extremely fit. I was eating well all through university. And then right before I got married, I had just gone in for a general physical, and she was feeling my neck, and she was like, yeah, there's something there, but go on your honeymoon, no big deal. Let's just have it ultrasound just in case. Went on my honeymoon, didn't think anything of it, came back for the ultrasound, and things just rapidly moved. I remember my honeymoon was December. I came back for the ultrasound in, I want to say maybe, January. The ultrasound was January. I had a biopsy immediately after because they were not happy with what it looked like on the ultrasound. And then I got my thyroid removed in April. And I remember at that time feeling so gypped. God, what the heck? I'm supposed to be in this time of abundance in my marriage. We're supposed to be invincible. And we're supposed to take over the world as a young married couple, and feeling so frustrated by the absence of that. But what was for me in that situation was, it was one of the first times that I got to learn that I am not in control. and that I can have the best laid plans. If you guys have been following me here for a while, you know that I am a choleric in temperament, which is the temperament of the 4 temperaments that is all about control. I love me being in charge and having control. And that was incredibly, the gift of thyroid cancer for me was learning that I'm not in control and that I have to adjust my tight grip, I guess, on reality. So I have many stories about mental illness. If you're interested on that, just click right here in the cards, and you can dive into our story with mental illness and how much it has helped me grow as a wife and as a person, and how much it's helped me grow in the area of control. So all this to say is my second strategy for getting through this crisis in a peaceful and happy way is to ask the question, what in this scenario might be for me? So having the kids home 3 weeks, it's like a built-in staycation, what might be there for you? Connection. Might it be the ability to work on some relationships with individual kids that maybe you didn't have the time for because you were so busy with activities and running here and there? Might it be that you get to make something as a family? Like you get to learn to bake bread from scratch together, or you maybe finally build that treehouse in the backyard. I don't know. All I'm saying is what might be in this difficult situation that actually might be a blessing and a benefit to your family. Okay, number 2. Number 3, we have got to equip ourselves with skills, because I'm not naive over here. We are about to go into a period of parenting where, again, people are encouraged to stay home. So it's not like we're necessarily doing these again, am I saying everybody's got to figure out for themselves what is appropriate in terms of how much social engagement you're going to have. But there are going to be times when you're going to need to, go to the store or go to the doctor or go to whatever, right? So we do need to figure out ways that we can continue living, in a safe, reasonable way. And that will require seeing people, right? And figuring out ways for childcare. If you are working and now all of a sudden kids are home from school and that was your form of childcare, what are you going to do? Skills. That's what you're going to do. You're going to build your skills. Okay. So I'm going to talk to you about some of the common things that I help women with in my coaching, but also what I'm observing online. I'm observing online people stressed out about a few common things, and I want to help with those common elements. So number 1, the first thing I'm seeing that I think we can all improve our skills on, and I'm going to give you some practical resources, is how we parent. So one of the common things that's coming into my inbox and in my private Facebook group is, I don't know what I'm going to do with my kids at home for 3 weeks or whatever it is. They fight, they talk back, they tantrum, they're disrespectful. How am I going to endure that? We can work on that behavior. And again, this is what I'm saying. Maybe it's a gift that you have this extended, maybe it's parenting peaceful boot camp over the next 3 weeks, right? Where you can improve on your skills as a parent, and where kids can learn different ways to manage their stress and to manage their forms of communication. So one really practical tool I want to give you, I'm going to drop it right here below, is my friend Dayna Abraham's completely free video workshop, Calm the Chaos. But I got to tell you, honestly, I could cry because she acknowledged very transparently that a free video series might not be the best way to help parents. And so what she's doing, it's just remarkable. And I just really want to Dayna, if you're watching this, you are amazing. She just wants to serve, because exactly what I'm explaining. She knows that parents who have a challenge with dealing with unwanted behavior are now going into 3 weeks of all the time at home. And so what she's doing is releasing all the videos right away. So you can binge watch all of it. Number one. And then number two, she's going to be showing up in really intentional ways, answering questions in her Facebook group. Like literally, what am I doing with my kids who are at each other's necks? The kids are so aggressive because we're all home for so long. All these things, she's going to be answering them and providing as much support as she can within the context of the workshop. So I really want to encourage you to check out what she's offering. The videos alone are, number one, helpful in their content, but they're also super entertaining. So if you are able to just binge watch them all, that's what I would do. Excuse me, so that you've got practical skills moving forward. One of the things that has stood out to me about her is connection. Like I watched the video on connection, and I'm already now thinking and brainstorming different ways that I can foster greater connection individually with my 8 kids. I just really think it's such a gift, especially during this time. So that's number one. I will put that link below. Check out Dayna Abraham's workshop on parenting and calming the chaos. Second thing I want to bring to your attention is another amazing friend of mine, January Donovan and the Women's School. Because what I think we need to do, like paramount, is control our thoughts. Because this is what will happen. This is what's at stake if we don't do this. Everyone will be miserable. If we as moms, and let's just be honest, like we are probably going to be the ones running the ship over the next 3 weeks. Like we're going to be the mom, the camp counselor, whatever you want to call it. It could be so easy for us to quote unquote lose our minds. And what happens when that happens? So the kids are, you're getting overwhelmed because people aren't listening. Maybe you're not implementing some of the resources that I'm saying about Dayna, and your stress level is escalating and the thoughts in your head are escalating, and you're starting to just say things to yourself like, this is awful. It's always going to be like this. Why won't they listen? This is impossible. And then you burst. And what happens when we burst, when we erupt? And guys, if you're on my email list and you got my email yesterday, I'm a yeller. I would like not to be. I'm working actively on not yelling, but nobody benefits when we lose it. In fact, there is so much more at stake if we do not control our thoughts. The psychology, the self-worth, the self-image of our kids depends upon us. And honestly, I really believe we have an opportunity over the next 3 weeks, as people are home more, to work on ourselves. It's literal boot camp. This can be literal mental boot camp, but I mean this in the very best way. Can you imagine if all of us, if every single mom on this YouTube channel, if every single mom who watches my stuff, if every single mom in the United States and the world took this as an opportunity to improve the way we parent our children? Can you imagine? Can you imagine? Like, I'm getting so fired up because I'm seeing so many parents feel defeated, feel like, what am I going to do? This is going to be hard. And again, I'm not saying it's not going to be challenging and that there may be loads of opportunities for us to grow, but what a gift that is. All right. So January has different resources. She's got an online course that I really recommend. There is a way that you can participate in a mastermind that I really recommend. I'm going to be starting a group towards the end of the month. If you're interested in that, I'll drop a link below. But working on our mind and our reactions to things and controlling that reaction so that our reaction externally, like beyond our mind, is positive. And I'm not saying positive like to our children. Like you might have to be firm and say, stop it. That behavior is unacceptable and you need to go and have a break before you can join us in the activity again. You may have to speak sternly to your child. But when we react and everything is reactive and everything is like, and again, I'm speaking to myself, just FYI, I'm speaking to myself as well. It doesn't serve our children and it doesn't serve us. Okay. And then the third skill I think we need to build on is, and you know how I am, I'm so like into this, schedules. Okay. We need to build a rhythm of life. Okay. So this might be a foreign concept to you. I'm just going to be honest. Like, you may have never had to look at what to do all day, right? And how to have a rhythm of life in your family's routine and schedule that allows you all to thrive. So everything's been happening so fast. So I apologize that this isn't ready for the time of this live video, but I'm going to prepare a resource for how you can schedule your family's day to day so that you can all thrive. And what do I mean by you can all thrive? Like, if you need to work because like we all need, like money needs to be made. How can you do that in a way that your children understand and you have pockets of available workflow, so to speak, so that everybody understands what's going on? How can you entertain your children, quote unquote, without necessarily involving screens all the live long day? How can you ensure that meals get made with intention, like beautiful meals get made? Maybe this is an opportunity for you to learn how to cook well. I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, I'm seeing every single aspect of the economy being impacted. So meaning, like, one of my favorite restaurants in Toronto, I just got an email from them saying that they are changing even the way that they're not taking cash payments. Like, that's so interesting to me. So anyways, my point in sharing that with you is that, maybe this is a season where you get to learn how to, cook really well, or what have you. So where meals are created with intention, and then the cleanup from meals is not necessarily like overwhelming. So I'm going to create a resource. I'll have it up probably by the end of the day, where you can start to look at, okay, what does our morning look like? What do we do in the afternoon? What do we do in the evening? How do I ensure my house isn't constantly a mess? How do I ensure that, food isn't left out and everywhere? Like, these are skills, guys. These are skills. And my friends, we can increase them. You might not overnight have all of these systems ironed out in a perfect way, but we can all build in our skills. I'm a mom of 8 kids. I never in my wildest dreams thought that I would be able to do some of the things that I'm doing with 8 children. I honestly, and I hate admitting it out loud. I've admitted it here many times, but there was a time when I really felt like children were an impediment to success. And I just want all of us to go into this season, number 1, without fear. Number 2, with a peaceful mindset, but number 3, with skills, with the skills and the empowerment to know I have got this. I can do this. I'm not alone. And we are going to conquer our calendars, our home life, our ability to parent in these next few weeks. So that's it. I think I'm going to leave it there. I just really wanted to provide some hope and some encouragement. If you can think of somebody in your life who would benefit from this video, please feel free to just hit that share button and share it with them. Let's change the mindset on what is a very stressful and challenging time. Can we see this time at home, this time where, more people are going to be closer to home? Can we see this as an opportunity to grow as a family and to feel empowered as a family?